Liverpool 4, Tottenham Hotspur 2. A spirited fight back. It's something we've come to expect from Tottenham when the game is all but done. But look, it made the last 25 minutes interesting. A lot of people are going to be Ange out tonight. A lot of people that were on the fence that were kind of buying in like I'm trying to, saying give the guy time. A lot of people are going to be losing faith because of that first half performance. Was wide open. Performances from Emerson, difficult to analyze. Responsible for a couple of goals, but also kept us in the game to a degree. Pedro Porro, is there question marks about him as a right back? Is he still as good on the ball? Does the value of having him as a on the ball merchant in an inverted fullback role, does that still hold weight when he is so easily exposed defensively? James Maddison, Sonny, Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson. The same names are coming up week in, week out in this absolutely pitiful and abysmal run of form. 0 points from 12. I can't even think how many goals we've conceded. 4 against Newcastle, 4 today. 3 against Chelsea, was it? I forget. 3 against Arsenal. You can't be playing in Europe and you can't be winning trophies if you concede 3 or 4 goals a game. We've got so much to talk about. Really, really appreciate everyone that participated in the watch along. You stuck with it. You held with it. And I love you for doing that. I hope it was okay. I hope I put on a good enough performance. We've got 4 people in the background. We've also got Adam William Cahill, who is on his way, I believe. He's turning up. 1 second. There's someone else who wants to come on. Depending on how many people come in, I'm going to have to kind of figure out the best way of doing this. We'll start off with everybody, and then I'll try and, like, if there's lots of people want to come on, then I might have to drop some people out and stuff. But let's get some names in the hat before we get into it. Just ask you some favors. I said I wouldn't ask for likes on the previous video. I kind of gave you the reverse psychology. Do me a favor, guys. If you don't mind hitting the like button for me now before we get going, I won't have to ask too many times. Hit the subscribe if you're new to the channel. Really appreciate it. We're on the march to 25K. We got some new names in the background that are coming in right now, and I can't wait to hear them all. I'm going to bring in, first of all, Cess's Gammy Hammy, whose name is Pete. I've just found out. How are you, Cess? Good to see you, mate. How are you, Pete? Sorry. How are you, mate? Good to see you, buddy. You're okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Apart from watching all that, but yeah, we'll get into it in a minute.
We will. Yeah, let me bring in the rest. Yeah, great to have you, mate. A long time. I've always known. Love the name, by the way. Love the name, and it's great to see you in the flesh.
Change it soon.
You have to change it soon. We've also got Jamie. How are you, Jamie? Just a quick request. If you do, you're on mute, buddy, but please don't swear. I think you're making your debut on the show as well. How are you, Jamie? You okay? You're on mute, buddy. You're on mute.
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, apart from that shower of shit, really. But there were glimmers of good things in the second half, but not much in the first half.
I sort of swear. You swore within 3 words. So please don't.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. It's okay. It's not a problem. It's all right. It's fine. It's fine. Stay there, Jamie. We're going to bring in the rest of them, and we're going to get everyone going into the chat right now. We've got Adrian Stroker, long time on the channel. How you been, Adrian? You okay, mate? Good to see you.
I'm fine, Sean. I'm fine. The result today, I think we all knew where it was going to go. Better things in the second half. Is Skippy now a new left back, Sean? Is it a good question to ask the panel?
It's one of the questions I've got written down on my notes here.
I won't steal your thunder then. No, I'm okay because I'd sort of. I mean, I think most of the fan base had sort of like given up on the season. We weren't expecting to get top 4.
Adrian, do you know what, mate? Just press pause. I'll come to you. I'll come to you to give you your analysis first. It sounds like you want to get off your chest, but I've got to bring in 4 more people. So bear with me 1 second. Roy Viking, good to see you, my man. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Please don't swear. I hope you're okay.
Doing well.
Good to see you, mate. We'll come to you in a moment. Let me get the rest of the boys in quickly. Just give me 2 seconds. We've got Mr. Masterson. Guy, how are you, buddy? Good to see you.
I am a bit better than I was 45 minutes ago, but not much.
Yeah, it was an interesting end to the game. Gave me a little bit of something to be excited about, but ultimately too little, too late. Guys, stay there, buddy. We'll come to you in a second. We've got Drew Zilla. How you doing, Drew? Good to see you, mate. As you know, mate, no swearsies on the show.
Yep.
Absolutely. I'm doing well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, wonderful, mate. Great to see you. And we've got, of course, the man. I'm sorry, Seth, sorry, Pete. I'm gonna have to bring him up here. He's my co-host for this evening. Adam William Cahill. How you doing, Adam? Good to see you back on the show, mate. You okay?
Yeah, it's been way too long, man. Thanks for having me back. And it's not the absolute best time in the world to be talking Tottenham, but it might be exciting all the same. So I'm happy to join it.
Lovely to see you, mate. Listen, what we got? We got a ninth man. We got Soren. So just because it looks like it's kind of all equilateral right now, we've got 9 of us. So listen, guys, the rest of you who might want to join, you've got the link, but hold off for a little while because what we're going to do is we're going to give these 9 guys their chance to say how they want to, say what they want to say. We'll go around the table and everything, and then if there's more people that want to come on, you might have to wait a little while. But listen, I've got all night. If you want to go all night, we can go all night. But we're going to start with these 9. So everyone else, if you want to come on, just you have to bear with me. Guys, let's start with you, Adrian. I said I would start with you. Let me ask you basically, buddy, how you feeling after that? I mean, lots to chew through. A good finish, but a terrible start. I mean, I'll let you take it away. Your overall thoughts.
Well, it's a strange one, isn't it? Especially when you come from, you snatched 2 goals, and we did look a bit sharp. We caused Liverpool problems in the second half after what was like a poor first half performance, barring like obviously Romero, I thought was really good again. Even Van De Ven was okay, and I actually thought if we're going to look at positives, although there was lots of negatives from the first half, I actually thought Bissouma's getting his mojo back. I thought he was starting to pick the ball up in space, tight turns, quick turns, laying it off and all that. And I actually thought from the rollicking he got in the last game, right, I actually thought he started to look good. Bentancur shown a few glimpses of getting his mojo back, but not much. Same with Sarr, but again, our front 3 were awful. First half, we were just like awful. We had a lot of possession, but we're all possession and no bite, aren't we?
We are indeed, mate. I'll stay with you for a second here, Adrian. I'm gonna see if I can. This is gonna be a bit weird. Let me see. I don't want to see it. It's gonna be strange to see everyone shoved across to the side. But I just want to get up some stats to show everybody. And here they go. Everyone's gonna get pulled over for one sec. Bear with me. So the game finishes 4-2. As you can see, Tottenham obviously started the brighter. I thought Tottenham, in the terms of the momentumometer, Tottenham did have the first sort of 5 or 10 minutes. Then it was all Liverpool for the majority of the first half and the start of the second half. And then from about the 60th minute, as soon as we went 4-0 down, then we kind of came alive, if you want to call it that. But it's the same against, you could say the same against Arsenal. People were saying the same against Arsenal. People were saying the same against Chelsea to a degree, even though that never really materialized at all. Is there an argument that Tottenham are fighting back into the games? Or is it that the other teams get a comfortable lead and then just take their foot off the gas? And so it looks like Tottenham are fighting back, but ultimately it's never going to ever work out anyway.
To be honest, I haven't questioned the fight, the resilience at all. Because even against Arsenal, Sean, when we looked, the one thing we had loads of possession. But what we showed was we really fought to win the ball back when we didn't have it. I mean, and so I don't question resilience. I question, I question our final ball. I question our creativity. I question, someone like Johnson not taking his man on.
Yeah.
But resilience, look, you don't go to Anfield 4-0 down, get 2 back. I mean, even against Arsenal and all that, there's fight in the team, but there seems to be so many players that are out of form. And let's be fair, Emerson is not a left back. He's not. His touch is awful. All right, he also deserved a bit more protection from Johnson, but Johnson's not a track back winger, is he? So Emerson was always going to have his word cut out. I'm not a fan of Emerson though. I don't want him at the club, but he doesn't track back. On the other side, Kulu holds the ball up. I get why you play him. I am a fan of Kulu, especially when he's on his game. I get why you pick him in a team, especially in away games when you need a bit of hold-up play and all that. All these little issues with players that are good at certain things and not so good at other things at times or struggling. This is what Andrew's got to sort out. Andrew's got to sort this out, I mean,
are you still on board? Are you still on board, Ange, mate?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm giving him all next season. In Andrew, I trust. I give him all next season. I'm not having the players bin another manager. I'm not having that. I'm up to here with it, Sean. Right. So like, I'm confident that we will go big in a transfer window, and 3 or 4 signs could transform us. But and then we'll see. I want the next 2 transfer windows, this one in the January. I want 4 players in January minimum. And we've got Lucas Bergvall coming in. Our academy players are a bit young. They're not quite ready. After next season, you might find a few of them already that will come into the team and help us out. But we're sick and tired of waiting, aren't we? As fans, we're sick and tired of being told it's a process. It's another long haul before we get to where we want to get and win a trophy and all that. And I want to be challenging for the league. Like, as much as I'd love a domestic trophy.
It's like a long way away right now, though, doesn't it, mate?
It does, Sean. It looks a very long way away. But with a few different players to create competition, I mean, like, Bissouma looked like he had a little kick up the butt today. I think he looked good. Romero.
I thought he was awful in the first half, to be honest, mate. I thought he was terrible in the first half. Listen, mate, my opinion.
Maybe I missed Sean. Right?
No. I thought he came alive in the bit in the second half, but in the first half, I thought the first 20 minutes when it mattered, I thought he was scruffy and scrappy. Adrian, stay there, mate. There's a lot. Obviously, I want to get everyone else in and get their general takes. We'll come back to specifics in a little while, mate. I appreciate you, Adam. I'm going to come to you, mate. Let me take you off mute. So I'll put you all on mute, guys, because I was hearing some clicking and some weird noises in the background. So just want to, I'll bring you all back in time. Adam, mate, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. Obviously, you watched the game. Give me your thoughts, mate. What the hell was that in the first half?
That game is just another illustration of why we've seen the news story break this week that Ange's got 12 players that he wants to ship out. I know a lot of people want to get on Ange's back, and I understand that it is frustrating that plan B is just do plan A better. We want to see a manager who's able to make changes based on the opposition and changes based on what's going on in the game, and he doesn't seem to want to do that. It's frustrating, but if he really believes in his philosophy, the players need to get behind it as well, and they need to at least show that they have the talent to be able to pull off what he's trying to do, even if it ends up in failure from time to time. And what we've seen in the last few games is that the players are like, you can't just say that they're not adapting to the system. They're showing really, really piss poor quality. Bissouma, Sarr losing the ball all the time. What the heck is going on with Maddison? What did we buy? Is there a reason why we got him for as little money as we got? It's insane how bad he's been since he's come back from the injury. And I know the Leicester team will tell you that that's generally the case with him. If he gets injured, he comes back, he's not himself for a while. But he didn't do a single thing right today. And I mean a single thing. Every single time he had the ball, he did something wrong. He looked like a child playing football for the first time. It was insane.
Not the first time, though, is it, Adam?
No.
It was awful. He's been awful for 6 weeks. Like, I know he struggled when he's played, but it's been a long time due for him to be dropped. Glad to see him dropped. But against Chelsea, he decides to put Kulusevski in the 10. Today, we didn't even go with a 10, which was, I don't know how to even analyze that. But I thought Sarr was, I guess, the most forward. I mean, look, do it. Listen, we can allocate accountability to the players, Adam, right?
Massively.
But is there any? It's some of the choices around the team selections. Is any of that on that? Like, I know you're also Angie and you want to backhand. So do I. So, but we can analyze and still critique and criticize, within isolation. It doesn't mean that you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Has Ange made some bad tactical and substitutions and starting 11 decisions in recent weeks?
I believe so. I don't understand what his reasoning is. I made a point of saying in one of our WhatsApp groups earlier on today that he must absolutely hate Lo Celso. It doesn't make any sense. So Maddison was off form, so he drops him. Puts Kulusevski in the 10. Kulusevski absolutely bombs in the 10, drops him from it, and decides he's going to bring in another number 8 to play in the 10 instead of you've got Lo Celso there on the bench. Whenever he's come on, he's looked like the most sprightly, active, skillful player that we have in the bloody team, and he still won't put him on. So absolutely, I don't understand the team selection at times, and but at the end of the day, no matter who he puts out there, you should be seeing players that look like professional footballers, and a lot of the time you're seeing some of these guys, they look absolutely amateur Sunday league players. It's ridiculous, and even if they're not used to playing his system and they're trying, which doesn't make sense considering how well we performed in the first 11 games of the season. I don't understand how. Even if they don't know exactly what he wants them to do, how they're constantly losing the ball all the time, not able to penetrate, not able to do simple things that people of their particular position on the pitch should be able to do. The players are completely. I think his system is showing the vulnerability and showing the inadequacy of an awful lot of the players, and some of them might just be off.
Or just to play the devil's advocate for which we try to do on this channel is. Can you, if all 11 players, or if 8 of the 11 players, if you excuse Van de Ven, Romero, maybe Vicario to a degree, if you excuse those 3, the fact that the rest of them, to a name, to a number, are pretty much struggling, does that expose the system, or does the system expose the players?
I think the system exposes the players.
Insight we need to figure out.
I think the system exposes the players because there's too many of them, not nearly enough, but too many of them that are able to show that they are talented while playing Ange ball. Romero, Van de Ven, Vicario, Richalison, I don't care what anyone says, that dude is an absolute bloody legend. He was on fire before he had his injury. He's taken 2 games to get back into it, and today he was absolutely fantastic. And
Richie was brilliant today. 100%.
Outstanding.
Richie was fantastic.
But there are enough players there that show that no matter what the system is, that if you're a talented footballer, you still present yourself as a talented footballer. And then you've got a bunch of other a-holes who are spending all their time losing the ball, looking like headless chickens. I don't disagree that I struggle to understand Ange in terms of his team selection, in terms of his lack of changeability, mutability, but the players are definitely showing themselves up. If they, if they looked like they were doing bits and we were still losing games, you could put it down to Ange. But when they look like they're completely inadequate and they're not fit for Premier League football, that's on them at the end of the day.
100%. Adam, stay there for 1 second, mate. I'm going to bring in the next guy. Sess's Gammy Hammy Pete, you were the first in of the rest of you guys. Mate, great to have you on. Obviously, long time I've seen your name in the chat, mate. Great to meet you. Pete, give me your oversight, buddy. Well, I mean, how do you feel? Are you Ange in? Are you Ange out? Are you cognizant of the fact that whilst it's the longest losing streak in Tottenham's Premier League record since 2004, the fact is we did that. The games in that series are difficult. Newcastle away is a place we never get much from anyway. Arsenal at home, obviously very difficult. Chelsea away, we've only won once in 33 years. And Liverpool away, probably not that dissimilar a record. So, is the headline Tottenham lose 4 on the bounce? Or is the headline Tottenham continue to struggle against certain teams in certain arenas? And therefore, should we give any kind of, I don't know, is there any kind of levity or any kind of credit that you kind of give to a weak performance given the environment in which we've been playing?
Well, the one bonus is we didn't concede from a set piece today. So that's one bonus. But, I mean, yeah, they're all difficult games. But it's how we're losing. We just look way off it. I wouldn't say I'm Ange out, but I think half the players have got their eyes on Euros and things like that. Like Bissouma before the AFCON, he was missing until I think he had one eye on that. And I think a lot of players have got one eye on going to the Euros and don't want to get injured or whatever. Or they think they're going to be sold in the summer, so they think, well, it's not really worth busting a gut. I'll just preserve myself. I don't know. That's all I can think of. But there's a lot of misplaced passes and things. Like whenever the ball gets to, I mean, Emerson lost the ball, so I think Bissouma lost it quite a lot. Brennan Johnson lost it. I mean, so many people just can't seem to pass the ball between each other. It's really, I think I am Ange in. I think we need to give him till middle of next year, like Christmas, see if there's any sort of progression. But there needs to be a lot of change around in terms of players, I reckon.
Are you someone who's willing? Because obviously, with Ange's system, right? I think this is the key thing. Like I say, I completely understand where people are. If you are Ange out, if you don't back him because you've seen enough that you think this guy's never the system's just going to get exposed time and time again. Doesn't matter how good the talent is, the formation just is difficult. Then Tottenham have to make a key decision here. Daniel Levy has to make a key decision around if you give him what he wants, then that may include selling players that are actually really good players that just don't have the desire to participate in this system, or that are bad fits for the system. But if you go and back him 100% in the summer, and that means selling players like a Bentancur, like a Bissouma, like I'm not going to suggest Maddison. I think that's going to happen, or but whatever. But just big name players, popular players in the squad that would be perfectly viable in the next manager's system. And is there a conversation? Is there a concern that Daniel Levy has to figure out around like what we've seen from the start versus what we're seeing now? Backing him entirely might mean that we go and sell players that are very good, buy players that are not as good technically, but are better fits for his system, for him then to fail next season. And then we're left with a whole bunch of new square pegs for round holes. Is that a concern for you, Pete?
No.
I think the biggest problem we've got with the system we're playing is the inverted fullbacks. I think they're too high up the pitch, which makes there's too many players at that end of the pitch. There's no room to manoeuvre. And then there's not enough people at the back. If they were just to come back, I don't know, 10 yards or whatever, fill in a bit more gap there, have a bit more space, people like Maddison and that to do their thing, I think that might be a massive thing. But I do agree with what you're saying. If we end up putting all our eggs in the Ange basket and then we end up getting rid of Ange, then we've got
a problem, isn't it?
Suited for different things that may not be suited for the next one. Although you'd like to hope that we won't go too far off his style of play if we do change a manager.
But that's key, 100%, right? So we have to buy into at least something here. Like if we're going to back him, then if he doesn't turn out to be the right guy, then at least we have to buy into the philosophy. Like this has to be the shift, the pivot. We can't go to a different type of managerial style. Whoever the next cab off the rank is has to be something different. Pete, appreciate you. Stay there, mate. We're going to bring in the next guy. There's obviously 9 of you. We're going to try and bring in I think Jamie was next. Jamie, I think you're on mute, but I can't unmute you because I think you push your own mute. Welcome to the channel, Jamie. Please don't swear. Jamie, what's your take, mate? Listen, are you fully behind Ange? Do you have question marks around Ange? Are you Ange out? Are you Levy out? What's your philosophy? What's your style right now with regards to what's happening at Tottenham? Oh, hang on, mate. I can't hear you. We can't hear you. Is your microphone? Are you on the right microphone? Jamie, I can't hear you, mate. We can't hear you, buddy. Let me if you drop out and then drop back in again, drop out and drop back in, then I'll come back to you. I'll move on to the next guy for the time being. Roy, good to see you, mate. Yeah, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for the super chats and everything. You are the Viking that I remembered you are. Talk to me, mate. Same question to you. Are you what are you? Are you Ange out? Are you Ange in? Are you Levy out? How do you feel about what's going on? Who's to blame, and how do we fix this?
I think we need to stick with Ange. I've seen some negative signs. I hope I didn't have to see the last 3 games here. But I think we need to give him the support he needs to build his system to see if it works. But I'm afraid the low blocks are going to make us struggle next year as well.
Do you want to give Ange everything he needs? If Ange says, you know what, I want Sonny is not the right guy, can we get 60 million quid for him? Are you okay with that? If Sonny says Richalison, sell him to Saudi, are you okay with that? What about players like Bissouma, Hojbjerg, Bentancur? Are you okay with whatever he decides is surplus to requirements?
All of them players you mentioned here, I would easily sell, especially Son. I think he's a phenomenal character and a phenomenal guy, but I think his age has come to a point where we have to try to make money of him as well and let him go. I think there is players out there that could do the job he does and quite better nowadays.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I've said a few times, I just feel like if you're going to backhand, this is the big deal about Sonny. I don't want people to think that I'm anti-Sonny, because I think if we were to bring in a different manager, if there was a decision made around the manager rather than the players, I'm not advocating there is. I want this to play out. But if there was a decision around the manager changing, then Sonny might then selling Sonny would be crazy because you're not going to get a better player than Sonny in a certain system. But if the system is going to stick to this philosophy, then I don't think he's the right guy. And it's better to sell him a year too early than a year too late, because if you give him a new contract, you're not going to get any money for him. And you could get 60, 70 million for him right now if the right club came along, and you could do a lot with that money. But you have to be 100% behind Ange. And Levy, to me, has always been someone that has listened to the fans enough that if the fans lose faith in a manager, then he will move on the manager. And so if the fans lose faith in Ange, then I don't think that Levy will stick with Ange. So that's why it's like how we move forward as a fan base right now is important, Roy. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I totally agree with all what you say here, but I think the supporters can see that the players aren't exactly doing their part now. We can all put question marks over Ange, but he hasn't put together a team that's his own. He has players that Poch brought in. So I think he needs more time to put his stamp on the squad. And yeah.
All right. Cheers, Roy. Thank you, mate. Stay there, buddy. I'm going to bring in the next one on the list here. We've got Guy Masterson. Guy, I think you're on mute, not through my message. I think it's you that's on mute, buddy.
Go. There we go.
How are you, Guy? Welcome back to the show, mate. Good to hear you. I can't wait to hear your mellifluous tones.
That's very nice. Look, I was
Very nice. Have to go.
Okay, cheers, Roy. See you, mate.
See you, mate. Yeah. It was good to hear what Adam said, and I think he's absolutely right. Ange Ball exposes players who are not fully committed, and we all know they've got talent. There's a lot of talent in that group, but from what I saw today, that team in the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes was being run all over. They were chasing ghosts. Liverpool were first to every single ball. They were doing to us what we were doing to teams in the first 10 games of the season. And which is why we were scoring so many goals. We were getting the ball back high up in attack and scoring, putting teams on the back foot, and that's why we were successful. And that's, for whatever reason, it's not there. That energy, that commitment, that drive is not there, and the players who are not doing it are showing themselves up. Liverpool were sharper than us in the press. They were more courageous in one-touch passing out of the press. Sarr was about the sharpest. He was running all over the shop, but it was very often like a chicken without his head on. He made some really good interceptions and blocks, but those blocks weren't going to our players. We weren't capitalizing on them. But for me, the worst thing was how blunt we were in attack. Every ball that went to Johnson, he was always starting from a standing position. The balls that went to Sonny, they weren't in the right place for him to run onto. There was nothing that we were trying was happening. Liverpool were just attacking us relentlessly, and of course they got their breaks. They got the balls. The balls fell for them, and they scored those goals. And interestingly enough, our heads didn't drop. And it took a change of energy for us to get back into it. It also took a change of Liverpool's energy for us to get back into it. They scored the fourth goal. I mean, when things go right, my God, do things go right? That sweet shot from Elliott. I mean, most days that would fly over the bar. Today it goes into the top corner, and we're 4-0 down. Liverpool take the foot off the gas slightly, let us in. And I agree with Adam about Madison. He's not been up to scratch. I'm not as brutal as Adam in his assessment of Madison. I think you could see that those touches that took him past players was great. It was the pass after that he wasn't making. But that could be because our players weren't running into play spaces where he was expecting them to be. We weren't on the end of those crosses which came through, which we were in the first part of the season. So we were exposed terribly on the left flank with Royal.
Emerson. Yeah.
Terribly, and it was just, you put Salah against Royal, you're gonna concede 2 goals, and we did. Bissouma looked sharp, but again,
You thought he was good
They
as
were
well, did you?
beating
The same as Adrian. Okay.
I do think he looks sharp. He looks sharper, but still not back to his best. None of them are looking like world beaters at the moment in the front half of the play. None of them are looking like top Premiership superstars. Not even Sonny, and Sonny especially not at the moment. He actually beat more players in the last 10 minutes of the game than he did for the first 80 minutes. There was more space. Perhaps Liverpool were tired. He was beating players, but I would say, my God, he's supposed to be a superstar. He's supposed to change games. He's not doing that.
He's not used to playing in a system though where he's so crowded out. You're right. In the second half, he became, there was more space in the second half, and that's the system that he's used to playing in Maddison. At Leicester, as I always say, even in the season when Leicester won the league, most teams didn't respect him, or respect them, and played against them, and so that played into their hands as a really strong unit. And he's never played in a system where he's had to face a bank of 5 and a bank of 4 in front of him. And so he's 27 years old and coming up against a specific system that is going to play out. Same as Sonny, right? These two guys that are massive names, consequentially significant in our output in the front line, and yet both of them, their very best versions of themselves are against teams that allow them to have space. And in this system, the template has been designed. It's there, right? There is no, every team, whether it's Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, or Burnley and Sheffield United, it doesn't matter what end of the league you're in, you play against Tottenham at home or away, and you let them have the ball. And then Tottenham will give up the ball at some point if you press them well, and then they can counter on you. The template is there. It's easy for everyone to see. And players like Maddison and Son are just not anywhere near the version of themselves that they are naturally in this system.
Exactly what I'm thinking. I just think we're blunt at the moment. We're tired. We're blunt. We've lost a bit of faith. And the people who can change a game are not changing the game. And we're relying on the two world-class centre backs to get us out of shit. Get us out of the merd.
We're half an hour in now, so it's probably okay.
And they have got us out of the merd on so many occasions. On today's evidence, I would keep VDV, Porro, Vicario, and Romero, possibly Bentancur, and Bissouma as a fullback pivot. But every single one else, including Richalison, even though he was pretty good today. I think his first touch led him down on a number of key through balls from which he could have scored. But apart from that, I'm not seeing it. And I'm very rarely this negative.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping that I know most of the guys on here that are familiar with the channel are very, very, very much glass half full, generally speaking.
I'm
it's
totally
difficult to say glass half full right now, isn't it?
I need to make a very clear statement. I'm pro Ange Ball. I'm pro full commitment. But in order to play Ange Ball the way he wants it to play, he needs players who are going to just run their asses off. The way the Liverpool players played for Klopp today, the way the Liverpool players have given themselves a mathematical chance to win the league. They were playing for something. I wasn't certain what we were playing for today. There
was a lot to play for. If we won, there was top 4 still on. If we lose, which we did.
Yeah, they're not realistically thinking there's top 4. They're thinking we've got 5th. All we need is 4 more points. We'll get 5th. Actually, at the beginning of the season, I'd have killed for 5th. But
of course, but it's about the way the season has panned out, which is the concern I think for most people. Let me bring in Drew. How you doing, Drew? Thanks. I know you and Soren have been waiting patiently. Once we've done these, your two initial takes, then we're going to go to just a round robin open conversation where everyone can say what they want. Drew, give me your thoughts, mate. Are you still Angin?
Oh, absolutely. You have to be. I mean, I genuinely don't feel like there's any other choice other than to be Angin, because I don't want to be 2 years removed, into another project, having to get, another group of players, because you're not going to be able to get rid of everybody. So a new coach is going to want to bring in at least some new players. That's 5 sets of players for 6 sets of coaches. I can't do it again. I've got to see this one through for at least another season.
What did you think about specific performances today? I mean, is there anybody that stood out to you on the positive? Let's start with that one.
I thought, again, I'm another one that didn't think Bissouma had too bad of a game. Romero, I think, is week after week is showing that he's more and more fully coys. Van de Ven is obviously, I don't know. It was hard, to be honest with you. I was kind of walking in and out of the room listening to you commentate on the game because I was having a hard time. Just the last few weeks, I've had a hard time like sitting down and actually watching them. I guess my concern, and I was talking to you briefly yesterday because I was particularly bored, so I decided to do a spreadsheet because I was I was wondering how often, if you consider our starting 11 or the strongest 11, I was wondering how much football they'd actually had together. And as a unit, they've only started 4 games together, and including substitutions, they've only played 8 times together. So if you look at our defence, Vicario, Porro, Van de Ven, Romero, Udogie, they've only played 17 times together in a Tottenham shirt. Sarr, Bissouma, Maddison have played 14 times together in a Spurs shirt. What are we doing? I don't know what we expect from these guys, because if you'd have told me those sorts of stats, I'd be looking at the table now, irrespective of results. I know we all hate to lose against Chelsea. I all know we hate to lose against Arsenal. But if you just, like, when in doubt, zoom out. If you take a look at the bigger picture, like, we're really not doing too bad. Yeah, so the blue is basically, the top 11 lines on that chart that you're about to bring up are basically what I would consider to be the strongest 11. So Vicario, Udogie, Van de Ven, Romero, Porro, Bissouma, Sarr, Maddison, Son, Richalison, push Kulusevski. So that huge big red block in the middle is where we lost Van de Ven, Romero, Maddison, Bissouma for huge chunks of time. And if we go on the fact that we all believe that everyone below that first 11 aren't really good enough, and how much they've had to be used, I don't know. I was just crunching some numbers and thinking to myself, we've not been able to put our first 11 from Chelsea. Since the win at Chelsea, we've put out our first 11 once, and that was the win against Forest. So I don't know. I just think we need to have some patience. 4 of these guys have never played in the Premier League before. 5 of these guys, it's their first time playing for Spurs.
No, I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. I think you have to let this one cook. I think everyone who watches my channel knows how I feel about it. And I said today, despite what happens today, I knew it's always going to be a bad one in all likelihood. It was never going to work out. But you can't judge a Yorkshire pudding if you open the oven too soon. And I feel like that's what we might be guilty of doing with Ange Postecoglou. I think you have to give him what he needs. But look, at the same time, it's easy for us to say this, not having to face the consequences of it. For people like Daniel Levy, he has to make his mind up around, because what Ange needs, as I said a minute ago, what Ange needs might look like a drastic changing of the guards with the players. He's already alluded to that in 2 press conferences, that when you move from a system and a philosophy that's the complete reverse, 180 on what he wants to do, some of the players are not going to be on board it. And so he's even said some of these players, Soren, I'll bring you in here, mate. Some of these players are good players, but they're not necessarily on board the method, the system, and they're not going to give it 100%. And so when he always talks about the content of someone's character is more important to him than the quality of their technical skill set, there could be a scenario where you see a lot of really good players leave the club this summer and players that you come in where we all go, huh? Like, they're not an improvement as a footballer, but he thinks they are as a person, or he thinks that they're going to buy in, which you have to be on board with if you want him to have success. But then you have to trust in the patience of patience of the fans and the patience of Levy. And Levy hasn't really shown a lot of patience over the last 5 years since Pochettino. And I think that's in no small part because the fans also don't show a lot of patience. And then Levy thinks if I react to the fans, then I get a little bit of a get out of jail free card. Soren, What's your take, mate? Are you know, how do you feel about this right now? After today, after the last month, have you changed? Are you still behind him, or what's going on?
Yes and no. I think the big question is Levy going to back him? Is Levy going to be patient enough with him? Because I think when you look at the fan base who are starting to lose faith in Ange, it's a very small minority still. You know, we're not hearing the big boos at the end of games still. We're not hearing the chants of Levy out. So it kind of shows the fans are still behind him. So I'm hoping Levy's going to be behind him. Because if he isn't, he does need to. We can't give him till December. He's got to go now if he's not going to back him fully in the transfer market. If he's going to back him fully in the transfer market, the team that we're looking at now is going to be so different next season. But the problem with that is we've then got to wait for them new players to get into the system of Ange and understand the way he wants to play, because he's not going to go out and get a team that's already played his system. He's going to get a team that look like they could play the system. I mean, if you look at today, I think at least we kind of showed a little bit more fight than we did against Chelsea. Chelsea was so demoralising. I mean, you know, even the hardest die-hard fans had to look at that game and think, what the hell is going on? Today, you look at it and you think it was that typical thing where they say it's a game of two halves. First half, we were okay. I don't think we were great, and I don't think we were terrible. Again, I'm on the thing. I thought Bissouma had a fairly decent game, better than he's had, put it that way. But I think the big change was, as much as Maddison didn't do a lot, and Maddison came on and Richie came on, the game changed. And, you know, I've been saying for a while, as much as people don't like Richalison, he does one big thing for us, which is disrupt the opposition's play. He runs, he's closing down. That's the type of player we need. When we said last year that the biggest problem was we weren't defending from the front, and that's kind of ended again. First 10 games, all the players were running. They were all closing down. The midfield was strong. The front ones were strong. We're now kind of seeing that Richie runs around. Sonny's been a bit poor, obviously, but I just think there are one or two players in there that we've got to get rid of. But I think there's just been a comment there. Why give Ange a 4-year contract if we're not going to back him?
Yeah.
So to me, I think Levy's got to go all out and back him, do what he wants, and give him the whole of next season. We can't, you know, as a fan base, we can't be sitting here now and saying, oh, he's going to go by December. Well, what's the point then? What's the point in trying to give him what he needs, but we don't really trust him? And that's my worry, that it's just splitting the fan base again. I mean, who are we going to go out and get? You know, if we sack Ange...
Well, let me ask you this, Soren, and after this question, I'll let you finish, answer it, and then after that, because we're going to go to just an open forum, so whatever you want to say, we'll just go where you want to go with it. A lot of people in the chat tonight are talking about David Moyes. I mean, I think that's all in jest. Surely that's in jest. If anybody in this chat is legitimately suggesting that David Moyes is the right answer for Tottenham Hotspur, then I don't know what you're smoking, but can I have some? And yeah, I'll see you on the next planet. But like, I mean, Soren, I'll let you answer that question first. You asked the question, if not him, then who? And I asked Henry Wright this a couple of days ago. Henry was on the channel, and Henry waxes lyrical about Thiago Motta and Bologna, and he talks about De Rossi at Roma. But these guys are all first season, you know, in management. You know, and like you could, okay, flashy, cool names, cool, sexy, you know, histories as players, doing well in their various teams. But what about, look at the Brighton fella, right? Look at the guy who manages Brighton. Everybody was waxing lyrical about him 6 months ago, and then he's gone on the worst run of form. Apart from today, well done, he beat Aston Villa. But all of a sudden, the guy looks like he's bang average. Like, I just don't think that there's a very strong managerial market right now that's available. So you're right, Soren. If not Ange, then who? I don't want to be hearing about players, people that have done 6 months of good work in their first managerial role. Like, sorry, Xavi Alonso, okay, done amazingly well, but he ain't coming. Ruben Amorim's going to cost 50 million quid in compensation. Like, who is? So I'll let you finish your answer, Soren, and then we'll go to an open forum.
You know that for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been banging on about one manager, and that's Nagelsmann. I think he's the one that we should have got in. I just think tactically he's brilliant. I think he's a manager that will adapt game on game on game. Look at what I mean. When he was at Bayern, they've gone downhill since they've got Tuchel in instead of him. Yeah, I mean, I think it's another one of those where we say, well, if Ange goes, we're going to get this manager or that manager. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I mean, we're certainly not getting David Moyes, but that's that. I think what a lot of people are saying. That's the kind of thing that Levy probably would go and do.
Thomas Tuchel?
No, not a chance. Please, no.
This is what I'm saying. Like, I mean, honestly, like, here's the names that are being thrown out here. I'm sure this is a joke, right? Conte, obviously not. Moyes. Who else we got? Thomas Tuchel, Gary O'Neill. Interesting player, interesting manager, but you're stepping back to step forward with him. Like, again, where's the excitement? Where's the interesting? Wolves, Iraola, however you say his name.
But Sean, the thing is,
but in
6 months, 8 months time, half the fan base are going to want him out as well. It won't matter unless we win a trophy next year under whichever manager comes in.
Exactly.
Half the fan base, the Levy outers and everybody else are going to want that manager out. We've got to, for once, stick with the manager. Give him what he needs. And if that's Ange, then give him what he needs. Actually back the guy for once.
Yeah, go on, Guy. Go on, mate.
I was remembering my early days. I was remembering when Birkinshaw came from nowhere and took over, and we went straight down, plummeted, fucking straight down into the second division. And we kept him on, and we came up. We should have won the league by a mile. We actually, in the end, it was pretty close. Burnley won it, but we came up, and we took in Ardiles Mbia, and Hoddle came to the fore. I mean, he was playing brilliantly in the second division, but he came to the fore, and suddenly we had a real core of great players. And guess what? 1982 came along, 1981 came along. We went to Wembley 7 times in 2 years. 1984 came in. We'd won 3 trophies, been in the final of 2 others. And, and Birkinshaw was not regarded as a great manager until he was with us. And it was attractive football. It was hard football. And but it's a perfect example of someone who came from virtually nowhere, was entrusted with a top team that was suffering, and we sunk like a stone. But we kept him on and backed him and won trophies. And now he's regarded as our second most successful manager of all time.
Guy, can I ask you a question? And I want this. I'll let you answer first, and then I want everyone else to chime in on this. I honestly don't know where most of you fall on Levy. I know Adrian falls is a Levy out. So I had a semi.
Oh no, that's not quite true. I've always said I want what's best for the club. If that means new owners, and I want investment. So I wouldn't. Okay. I don't hate.
Well, Adrian, let me preface it quickly because I've got a super chat to go through, and I'll come to you right now. Yeah. Moondog, first of all, the super chat says we need to stick with Ange. We knew we would have ups and downs. 100%, mate. I'm 100% on board this. I think I'm getting from all of you that you all feel the same. There's not really an Ange out guy on here. Maybe Saba, if he's around, can pop on and tell everybody why he's not the guy. Listen, for Moondog, I appreciate you, mate, and also you're the longest serving member of the channel, mate. 23 months or whatever it is. So love you. You never have to send in a super chat, buddy. I'll always call your comments up. But there are comments, guys, from people like Lappers82. And I spent a lot of the show today, the watch along, actually debating with people in the comments who were saying Levy's the problem. And I'm like, okay, fine. If you think he's the problem, this guy Lappers82 does, until Levy has gone, every manager will fail. There's a 24-year stat/facts backing this up.
No.
I want to know, all of you can just be free roll. If you want to be honest, if you think he's the problem, that's cool. But I want to know what the solution is.
Sean,
Problems are one thing, solutions are something else.
Are you asking me that question?
I'm asking you, Guy, first.
Right.
Let me just finish my rant, and then I'll let you come to it first, and then we can go wherever anyone wants to come in. But to me, I genuinely feel like there are channels and there are people that are vocal in the Tottenham community who are very happy to always, when we win, they go quiet. When we lose, they erupt with energy. That Daniel Levy is the source of everything that's wrong with the football club. And I was like, maybe he is what's wrong with the football club, but he's not necessarily wrong with what the salute. Like the problem was why we're not winning trophies. For me, it comes back to something where you have to zoom out of Tottenham. Not many people are willing to do. And if you want someone else as your owner, if you think Daniel Levy is the problem, the cancer, the parasite, which I think are horrible words, but if you think that's the problem and you think that bringing in a new owner is the solution, then what does that look like for you? Because all I ever hear is more ambition. What does that even mean? Because if you think if it means spending more money, well, I've got to check out the rules of FFP. Check out how much we can spend and how much we already do. There's not that much wiggle room. If it's something else, I never hear a solution. All I ever hear is a problem, and I don't think the problem starts within Tottenham. I think the problem why Tottenham haven't won trophies in the last 24 years, Lapus 82, is not because of Tottenham. It's because of the rules not being in place. And then after the rules were implemented, you're shutting the gate after the horse has bolted. And that to me is the problem. But Guy, what's your take? Is Levy an issue or not?
Well, Levy is an issue in terms of his prudency, but I think actually, given the arc of the tenure and getting Spurs from where they were to where they are now financially, and as a club with everything in place in the infrastructure, I think there was probably nobody better for the job. But the problem is we want everything at the same time. We weren't expecting the success under Pochettino, and we weren't expecting Pochettino to become an elite manager or almost elite manager. At the same time, we weren't expecting having Harry Kane come through. So we were not expecting that success. But of course, when he didn't, right in the heart of building this expensive, extravagant stadium, suddenly our fans are expecting us to be able to spend 50, 100 million on players to shore up an unexpected situation. Levy doesn't work that way. He's never worked that way. Everything is planned meticulously. It took 15 years to build that stadium when it should have taken 5 because of all the land stuff, all that stuff. Anyway, we've stuck with it. He wasn't able to invest at the particular time when it would have really benefited the club to invest. There was investment, but Poch, whatever happened, I think Levy has tried to do whatever he could to do the best with that group of players. He tried to bring in a surefire winner with Mourinho to get that team of players over the line. That failed. He brought in Conte. That failed. We were competing with the richest clubs in the world who can afford 150 million. As you say, the horse had bolted. We were never in a position to compete with them. Only 8 teams have won a trophy outside of the top 6, excluding us. Only 8 teams have won anything. We've lost in how many semi-finals? So we were pretty close, but we're pretty much where we are supposed to be, the 6th richest club at the time. And everybody else was winning trophies. Liverpool, Manchester United, Man City. We've heard it time and time again. It's easy to blame Levy. Easy. But it's also easy to come second to those top 5 teams, which we did consistently. So we're now in a position where we can spend money. And by God, Levy, if he doesn't put his hand into his pocket and pull out some of that dosh and give it to Ange, who is a proven winner when he's got the players he needs around him. Yes, the Premiership's going to be more difficult. Completely agree with that. It may find that he just doesn't have what it takes, but you've hired this guy, back him completely, give him exactly what he needs, and if he doesn't do it after another season, we go again.
It goes a bit deeper though, doesn't it? I mean, like my anger with Levy is based on the fact that for 518 days we didn't pack Poch and we sacked Poch so easily after that fact. My anger with Levy goes deeper with the structure of the club at the time, which has improved. It's improved it dramatically, and he's done a fantastic job laying the foundations for the future. When I'm dead and we're all dead and gone, right? He's done a fantastic job. No one can deny that on the admin side of the club, right? But we didn't have the recruitment team we've got in now. We didn't restructure the academy like when Dean Rastrick went and they scrapped the strict pay structures and all that. So now we've got a great academy, great under-18s. They're thrashing Arsenal yesterday. The under-21s are through to the final of the playoffs and all that. So there has been improvements, but some Spurs fans won't hear that. They don't want to hear that at all. But
Adrian, there's been improvements, but when you've got a 23-year record to judge, and
it's not
people
good
that are leaving out, I know you are generally you want a new owner to come in, but I know you're not leaving out like a lot of people are. But when you've had a 23,
Sean, that's basically I'm not hate, right?
I exactly 100% right. That to me is the issue. Like if people want a new owner because they think that a sugar daddy like the Sultan of Brunei comes in and pays off the debt on the stadium, pays off the debt on the transfers, and then essentially allows Tottenham to be able to start again and then the revenue that they generate then doesn't have to pay the limit, pay the interest and the tax. All that stuff fine.
Yeah.
Hang on, Adrian, just give me 1 second.
Go on.
If that's what they want, then that's fine, right? If you want a sugar daddy to come in to be able to do that, I'm not on board with sugar daddy. I don't want the rules to stop new teams being able to compete. On my second channel, I get hate from Newcastle fans because they think that that my intentions are trying to stop them compete. I want the teams at the top, including Tottenham, the big six. I want them to come back to the everybody else. I want there to be rules to allow it to be competitive on a different framework. But if you are judging Daniel Levy on a 23-year framework, it's like you, Adrian, being judged on the things that you were doing when you were in your 20s or 30s, or me when I was a teenager, right? Like, think if you have that big of a sample size and you're going, well, you know what? Let's go back over 20 years. We can always find something where someone's messed up. He's never going to have a clean record or a perfect ratio. But at the same time, Daniel Levy hasn't. If we're criticizing him for not sorting out the scouting department, is Daniel Levy the guy that's going to be the genesis of the concept of how to figure out the youth team?
No.
He's not, is he? Right. So Paratici's come in and gone, this youth team setup is a mess. We need to sort that out. And Daniel Levy's
got a lot we should be thankful to Paratici for. There's a lot in the first place. And the thing was, it's not even a question of money spent, Sean. We've spent 600 million plus since 2019 on players. This is why I'm glad we've changed the recruitment team, restructured the club in a lot of areas. I know a lot of fans won't see it because it seems like I'm sticking up for Levy and all that. But this is because he wasn't really a football man. And what really infuriated me about him was when he wanted to try to take us into the Super League. Because he wanted the £300 million that everyone was going to be guaranteed. No relegation, no jeopardy, would have killed football. So to me, that tells me a lot about the person. You're not, we've all got souls that are football, that are ingrained with football. I believe Levy's a Spurs fan, but he's not. It isn't in his DNA.
I put out a tweet, Adrian. On Twitter. I said, "What is it you want as a Tottenham fan from a new owner?" And most of them said, "Someone who cares about Tottenham, someone who's going to spend the money, someone who's going to buy Declan Rice level players." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So you want a sugar daddy owner who's going to pay off all the debts to allow us to potentially participate in being able to pay £100 million on a player, but you also require them to be Tottenham fans." All right. So you've like zoomed in, you filtered out essentially 99.9% of billionaires that can do that because you also need them to care about Tottenham. Sorry, like they don't exist.
No,
like there's like it's like a unicorn.
Can I ask
unicorn that you want, and you think that everyone out apart from Daniel Levy represents that?
What we want to see, Sean, is like even when you bring good players in. Even if they're most skillful, what we want to see is proper due diligence done on bringing players in, and not just whether they've got the right skill set. The mentality of the player. What's their demeanour like? What are they like around other players? Do they work as a team? Right? You've worked in finance and all that. Yeah, exactly. So you don't get an Ndombele. And this
Probably
this
the worst
should
transfer in
this
Premier
should
League
happen
history.
at a club, a big club, a multi-billion organisation that like should be acting in a professional manner. We've been total amateurs the way we've gone about our recruitment. And you know as well as I do the poor players we bought over the past, right? Just like they thought they would satisfy the fans. We can list them, you know. We even got Roden in. We even got you could name loads of them, Janssen,
Adrian,
right?
Adrian, you've just contradicted yourself.
Probably have.
You've just said that Levy didn't back Pochettino. Who brought Ndombele in? Pochettino didn't do his due diligence then.
Well, no, if he wanted him, and he wanted Lo Celso. Listen, before I didn't know nothing about Ndombele when he came to his club, right, from Lyon or wherever it was. But I mean, I'd watched Lo Celso and I liked him, and I still think he's a very good player. But he's made of glass, and it's too late for him to turn his career around at Tottenham, as far as I'm concerned. But I still think Lo Celso is a very good player. Chris Cowling was slagging me off for it, right, when we had our chats and things like that. Right, I go fair enough, but I said it's subjective. I still think Lo Celso's a very good player when he's fit, you know. But you know, like
Ndombele was a brilliant player before we bought him. Brilliant. You should see the videos.
Yeah.
Well, the YouTube
I think he should have played the last 5 matches. Lo Celso.
No, Ndombele I was talking about. Sorry.
Mm.
Can I ask a question? What does "it's not good enough" mean for the last 24 years? What does that actually mean?
Well, lack of success. Lack of success.
It means balloons, mate.
If Levy wasn't a billionaire virtually in his own right and had a big chunk of ENIC, 27, 28%, Sean knows he's worked in finance. He'd have been sacked years ago, wouldn't he? He'd have been sacked.
Well, what's the whole thing with the?
Not necessarily. I don't get it. Like I honestly don't get it. Like everyone that's Levy out, for me, I haven't met. I'm sure there's lots of Levy out people that I haven't met that are very, very much in tuned into the finances and stuff. So I'm not calling, I'm not like carte blanche in this. But the people that I know that are vocally Levy out, that have their channels, they have their Twitter things, whatever. I ask them very simple questions, and they come back with incredibly blasé answers around what it is that they want, what it is that they don't like, and they'll cherry pick. You know, this is the reason I hate Daniel Levy is because Jack Grealish. Right, how long ago was that? How long ago was that? And also, for what it's worth, Jack Grealish was a player that turned out to be world class, give or take. But you know what? It wasn't just Daniel Levy that didn't buy Jack Grealish, that didn't pay what Aston Villa wanted for him. Every other owner in every other football club in the world also had the opportunity to pay £25 million for him and decided not to. So it's always Monday morning quarterbacking. And that's just it. But that's just one shitty little example. They go, we got Gedson Fernandes rather than Bruno Fernandes. How many years ago was that? If you are analyzing someone's performance over that long of a stretch of time, it's very, if you were to analyze my life, if you guys had a diary into my decisions that I made this week, you would find more mistakes on that charter than what Daniel Levy has made for Tottenham Hotspur in the last 25 years. Like when you have that long of a period of a tenure, you're always going to be able to find a bunch of mistakes. I'm pretty sure if you were a Man City fan that was a glass half empty take on life, you will be able to sit there and go, well, you signed the fella from Leeds who went to West Ham, that cost you 30 million quid. You signed the guy, you signed Doku, who's been absolutely woeful. If you're just focusing on the negatives all the time and trying to validate your opinion by identifying the mistakes,
it was 8 years before they brought in Pep. 8 years before they brought in Pep, the owners.
The thing with Levy that I think is if you'd have asked an Everton or a Newcastle fan, not like recent history Newcastle, but for the last 10, 15 years, if they'd have liked Levy, I think they'd probably beat their hand off for him. I mean, look at Everton now. They're in so much trouble. Newcastle, when Mike Ashley was owner, he was proper type. So he may not be perfect, but he's not the worst, I don't think.
I feel like it's real selective as well. I mean, you're saying we've only won one cup in 25 years or however long it is. That's fair enough. But you're forgetting about the opportunities that we had. Like two finals, 3 finals, 2 semi-finals where players didn't turn up. Now what?
Yeah,
That's
right.
not
That's
Levy
not
as well.
Levy.
Like Levy was standing behind Sissoko and pushed him into the ball, which created the penalty. Like I don't
Who did we
understand the
lose to?
mentality.
Who did we
Okay.
lose to in all of
Liverpool.
those big games?
team.
United, Chelsea.
We lost on penalty
Man
shootout.
City
Liverpool.
We
twice.
lost a penalty shootout
Liverpool.
to Manchester United in 2014, I think it was. You know, if
Right.
we'd won that penalty shootout, we would have as consistent a ratio of trophies per decade as we've Tottenham have always had.
But that's my
You know,
entire
plus all the other
point.
things that went awry. And so, like, this idea that Tottenham have always been super successful again is very
Not true.
like
Yeah.
I'm
So
not
yeah,
sure.
somebody
It's
was
my
making that
opinion.
point in the chat earlier on. Yeah, somebody was saying that, you know, oh, all these titles we haven't won. I was like, we were hardly prolific. We've hardly ever been prolific. We were the team that won a cup every year, every time a year began with a 1. Well,
Yeah.
surely that tells you it was once every 10 years or so, if not longer. So, like, come on. It's not
Yeah,
like we're title merchants.
Can I just reiterate?
Mm.
We have won what we have been expected to win over the last 20 years without luck. We haven't had luck.
Come on.
And no other team has won
It's-
anything. And all those other teams have been relegated.
You're a Levy out if you think that everyone is Levy as being too sympathetic. If you want to come on and say why Daniel Levy is the poison chalice, if he's the problem, there's the link. This channel is open-ended. I haven't picked any of these guys. These guys have all come on their own volition. If you are Levy out, come on and tell me why Daniel Levy is the problem, and we'll have the conversation.
Can I just address something earlier that was brought up about whether Ange is successful or not, right? And about bringing players in, and then if he fails or something, you get a new manager coming. That won't happen under Ange. I hope he's a success. We've yet to see it. I'm going to give him next season. But the reason I'm not bothered about, Sean, whether players are brought in is simply because there's been so many debates on podcasts recently saying, like, why don't we switch to a back 5 and play wing backs, which we know we can do. We will have, if Ange does fail, the squad will be good enough for whatever manager comes in to adopt any system he wants, because he will have the players that can adapt to that system.
Unless he ends up, unless he ends up saying Bentancur and Bissouma are not what I want, sell them and bring me in a Conor Gallagher for £50 million.
Yeah, I'm not a Conor Gallagher fan, right?
I don't mind Conor Gallagher. I think he's a good player. But if in terms of like, if he thinks that he's the solution to our midfield issues, then fine. If that's what he wants, fine. Another manager may or not disagree. But in terms of absorbing the budget, I don't want us to help out Chelsea. But spending 40, 50 million pounds on a player that I don't think is not much better than
unless the club are more concerned about homegrown issues and not homegrown academy issues, which come to play in Europe, because you've got 4 that are academy trained, but out of your 8 that you've got, and we've only got 6, I think, at the club, including Tanganga, Sessegnon, Skip, blah blah, 2 goalkeepers, blah blah. I can't remember the other one. You know, I mean, if you're talking about players that you guys want in, I don't know who you favour, because it's always subjective with players, who you like and who you don't, right? And I ain't got a problem when people don't like players that I like, or vice versa. You know, I mean, I'd rather have a Morgan Gibbs-White or an Edison from Atalanta than I would Conor Gallagher. I just
100%.
think, because I just think technically they're better. And also, right, I also believe, now I've received pelts for it, I believe that Romero could, I know you did a podcast recently, Sean, I believe Romero could play as an experimental number 6 until we sort that situation out.
I think he could as well.
And I also believe that Porro, even today, when he gets forward and his positional play and his intelligent awareness is questionable, he's technically a very good footballer. He's a very good footballer, but he's all over the place as far as I'm concerned. He's either great amongst the fans or he's not, you know.
He's a massive concern for me. Defensively, we know what we have. He's not great, but on the ball, you expect him to be excellent. But he wasn't great today.
Okay, Sean. Would you want to play Conor Gallagher as a midfielder box to box, or would you play Porro as a midfield box to box? Because I know I'd play Porro every day and twice on Sundays as a box to box midfield.
Yeah, I don't
get really.
Yeah, sorry to answer your question. I don't personally. I think Porro could be an 8, to be entirely honest. But I do want to. I want to get everyone else's in. Adam, you haven't said anything for about half an hour, mate.
I was just going to chime in. I want to obviously hear what everyone had to say, but I was going to chime in there and just say I do feel like the only Does anybody else kind of realize that we're the only team that are having these conversations outside of the other members of the Big Six? But the other members of the Big Six are the exact 5 teams that Sean mentioned in the statistic, that they're the ones that have been gobbling up all the trophies since Levy's been there, right? So we're having the same conversations as teams that are absolutely outstanding, when realistically, Tottenham is the only feckin' limbo team. We are the team that is just constantly on that.
We're not really. It's not really a Big Six, is it? It's a Big 5.
It's a Big 5, man, and we've just managed to do well enough that we've masqueraded ourselves as part of that ilk, and we're not. And I think that the level of entitlement that Spurs fans have comes from the fact that we look like we belong there, and we don't. We're not that side. We are better than all the rest, but we're not as good as City, as United, as Liverpool. And yes, there's an opportunity to make strides to become that. But let's not be putting so much pressure and so much ridiculous anticipation of where we're at before it's time. We're not there yet. The entitlement is insane, my friend. The entitlement is absolutely nuts. People want us to behave as though we are of the same ilk as the teams that are winning the trophies all the time. That's not where we are. That's not the kind of level of players we're able to attract. Only this season, and only with Ange, have we ever in our history seen us pull players into our club that were being linked with the likes of Barcelona and Bayern Munich and so on, right? So even just that statistic alone will show you that we're doing our best efforts to get into that ilk. But let's not get carried away and think that we are those teams already, because we're not. We are a limbo team. We are the team that masquerades as being top 6 when in reality only a top 5 exists.
You need to be careful. You're talking common sense. Fans don't want to hear that.
I'm in total agreement.
All they want to hear is what's wrong with the club.
I know. It's madness.
Well, I'll make the same point again about this. The starting 11 have only started 4 times together, 8 times as we've.
I thought that was one of the most salient things I've heard said.
Ridiculous. I don't know what you. I feel sorry for these people's children, because they are never going to live up to your expectations as parents.
I'll tell you what the biggest problem is. And when people start talking about captaincy, they should actually go and listen to Jeff Stelling's interview of Glenn Hoddle and what he actually said about captaincy and all that. Because when Glenn Hoddle talks about Steve Perryman and all that, because that tells you. Because, to me, when we have these issues, when things go wrong, fans are clutching at straws. Oh, we haven't got enough leaders in the team. We haven't got this. We haven't got that. Right? No, that is not the issue. The issue with the Spurs squad is, and if you go for all the 25, is we don't have enough aggressive players. We have too many passive players in that squad. So when things go wrong, the likes of Bissouma will be brushed off the ball, Skip will be brushed off the ball, and then you're looking at your aggressive players. You've got Vicario as a goalkeeper, who's quite aggressive. 2 centre-backs, excellent centre-backs. You got Bentancur, right? And then you might have Richalison, Udogie. That's 6. And now you're struggling. And the thing is, when people was slamming Romero for being sent off, when Bissouma's had three bans this year before he went away on the African nations, whatever. When they're slamming you Romero for being aggressive, before that they were going oh, we need a bit more shithousery in this team, right? And I'm thinking, this is what I want. I want aggressive players. I don't mind if they pick up a yellow card if we've got a squad to cover for suspensions and shit like that, right? But we need more aggression, because those players are winners. Aggressive players are winners. Passive players are good on their day, like a Maddison.
I think Dragusin fits that mold as well, by the way. I think
I hope he does. I hope he does. I haven't seen him. I watched the video. He looks decent. He's quick, very good in the air.
Adrian, press pause for 2 seconds, mate. I'll let you come back in. Just want to catch up on 2 super chats, because I know if I don't, we won't. Rakdos Manus, Alan, mate, you're unbelievable support of the show. You're always throwing out memberships to everybody. Listen, I don't do very many members phone-in shows, but I think right now it's key to get that on board. So I'm going to be doing one tomorrow evening, Monday night, my time, UK time. If you are a member, if you are one of the 5 members that Rakdos Madness has just been gifted to, or if you're one of the ongoing members, you can come on and let me have it. Let me know what your takes are on Levy and everything else. mate, Alan. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And also, Mia, how you doing, Mia? Issue is that the people look at things in hindsight. Everything bad is Levy. Anything good happens i.e. Champions League final or Poch is luck. Absolutely no logic to it. Listen, I agree with that. But listen, I don't want everyone to agree with it because it's my channel. Someone was saying it's the Levy sympathizers channel or whatever. I am more than happy for anybody to come on, anybody at all. Billy Cairns is a massive Levy outer. I've got him coming on the channel the week after next. Brian Daigle's on here all the time. Danny Kiriakou. This channel is open-ended. Anyone who wants to come on and debate or talk about Daniel, I just don't see it the same way that people that Levy out do, because I don't think they understand the financial side of it. I think that they think that there is a never-ending supply of money that could be spent but isn't being spent because Daniel Levy won't loosen the purse strings. And I just think it's a load of that's just not true. And so that's why but I'm at the same time, I'm very much open for a new owner. If Daniel Levy wants to sell, all right,
Sean,
Daniel.
apparently you're in love with the Tavistock group, apparently, Sean. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Me and Sean we're having a chat about this. We were messaging each other about this yesterday.
Thank you, Mia, for the super chat. Go on.
And we were talking about the financial side of the club and all that, and I know that you have rules that you have to adhere to, right? So you can't overspend anyway. But if say Mr. X comes in tomorrow and buys £1 billion worth of shares off of ENIC, and that gets put forward to the other shareholders. There's 30,000 of them as well, right? Believe it or not. So, and they accept the deal. That doesn't mean that Levy and ENIC, whoever bought some shares, is going to they could pocket that money, basically. They could pocket it. They could pocket half of it. They could put some back in the club. They could try and clear the 300.
Whatever decision they would make regarding that would be seen as by certain people as the wrong decision.
Yeah, it would be. They could pay the 300 million we owe, not all the stadium debt as well, including on that, the 300 million we owe on agents' fees, transfer fees, and all, because that's important because that comes under profit sustainable rules and financial fair play. So they could clear that, and as Sean said to me, that would allow them to give bonuses and stuff like that to other people in the club, which they probably can't do now, right? Now, Levy has said, it's gone on record, and one report I read, I haven't double sourced it and checked it, that he would like to clear the club debt, right? So now you've got the balance of trying to clear the club debt.
1.1 billion pound of debt.
Yeah. Now you've got the problem of trying to clear that debt at low interest rates of 2.5% and lower against
some of that debt is transfer debt, so it's just money amortization that's
right. So against what affects FFP, right? So you could clear that debt, and then it would enable you, if you cleared that debt, because then that 300 million wouldn't be part of your FFP. It would enable you to spend more if you had the money to spend. This is the thing, you see. It's we've regularly spent 100 million a year on players. We can't keep spending 100 million every year on players. We can't do it. It's not sustainable.
Listen, either way, look, I don't want to spend the whole rest of the show talking about Daniel Levy, but if anyone does want to come on, look, the link is there. I'll put it in once again. If you are staunchly Levy out and you want to come on and say why, the general narrative that I'm promoting and that these guys are not disagreeing with me on is nonsense. So you're welcome to. Listen, guys, let's turn back to the game. Let's turn back to the focus of the game. Guy, what's the solution, mate?
We've got to grind out 4 points.
Is it the forward line? Is it the forward line? If you had to pick an area of the pitch that needs to improve, is it the midfield or the forward line? Or
it's the pivots. It's the pivots, and also our high pressing. Well, I'm not seeing the energy in the high press, so we're not picking off the loose balls. We're not picking off or forcing loose balls, which we can then take advantage of. We're not playing the way we did in the first 10 matches of the season, and that for me is the way Ange ball works, and it's not working. So got to do it, and also we do need to fix these set pieces. But to me, it's all about commitment, energy, and I think that is what Ange said 3 days ago. He's going to make. I don't know why he said this, by the way. I think he put himself in a bit of a sticky thing. He went out. It was reminiscent of Mourinho's rant. It was reminiscent of Conte's rant. He was telling the truth, but that's why I was fearful. At 4-0 down, I was fearful of Ange getting the sack today. If it had gone to 5, God knows what would happen.
It's lack of quality.
If we
You know,
lose against
squad depth,
Burnley,
isn't
I wouldn't put it past. Certain. Nothing that we say is going to influence it either way. I want him to get back, but if we lose out on Europa League football, if we end up collapsing, then bad things can happen. Drew, I want to bring you in, mate. Let's
I've got to go, boys. Thank you very, very much.
Okay,
Thank you
so much, guy. Appreciate you, mate.
Well, guys. Okay. I'll speak to you next time.
Drew, let me bring you in. Forward line stuff. That was
to go as well.
Sess is at Gammy. Sorry, Sess is Gammy. Hammy didn't see you, Pete. Sorry, mate. Didn't hear you say you go in there. Drew, are you? Thank you very much for coming on, Pete. Drew, are you? What's your stance with the forward line? Let me throw out some names and then just give me some answers. Sell, keep, something else. Brennan Johnson.
Keep.
In fact, all of you can play this game. One word answers.
Yeah, keep.
Are you saying keep? Adrian saying keep. Soren?
Oh.
You want to sell Brennan Johnson? Adam?
Johnson, the only one for me that's borderline. I feel like I've seen enough flashes of him to see that there is like a Gareth Bale in the making in there, and yet he's just not showing at Tottenham. So I would love to see that materialize and metastasize.
He's not oven ready, is he?
No.
I think it's not just that though. He kind of offers no defensive role whatsoever, and in this system, you need to be able to help defend. That's the only reason I kind of got on him, because I just think whichever side he plays on weakens that side. He's showing glimpses going forward, but there is nothing coming back.
Are we going to go around the players, or can I spout some numbers at you?
You can. Just want to welcome Justin. Justin, is this Justin Glazer? Is this the man from Twitter?
This is him. Yeah.
How you doing, Justin? Nice to see you, mate. How are you?
Pick up, Justin.
I'm doing well. Nice to see everyone.
Good to see you, mate. I'll bring you in a second. Let me get back to Drew. So we got, the forward line. Talk to me through the forward line, Drew.
Well, just to stick on Brennan Johnson for a second, because that's another thing I was looking at yesterday, because I think the kid gets a rough ride. All right, Brennan Johnson's played 31 games, got 5 goals, 7 assists. Now, he's 22 years old, and we could probably argue that he wasn't supposed to play the amount of games that he's played.
He wouldn't have.
You're thinking probably he should have come on for maybe 20, 22, maybe been a sub for 7, something like that. But if you look at Anthony, who's £40 million more, he's got 1 goal, 1 assist in 7 games. You got the likes of Garnacho, who people are saying, okay, I'll take Garnacho over Brennan Johnson. He's got 7 goals, 4 assists, which is the same output. You go, all right, well, I'll take Neto from Wolves then in that case. He's only played 19 games. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists, and he's always injured. All right, well, I'll take Madueke from Chelsea. He's got to be better than Brennan Johnson. 19 games because he's injured. We'll have 4 goals, 1 assist. All right, well, we'll take Sterling then, because he's got to be in his prime. He's 28 years old. He's got 6 goals, 4 assists, so that's less output.
Brilliant.
All right, well, let's go for Jack Grealish then. Well, he's only played 20 games because he can't.
I think that's unfair, though.
Yeah, but Drew, it's all right quoting those stats, but
no, I love that. I love that.
But what I'm going to say is, what else in the game do they do? It's all right if they're creating some chances, but if the rest of the game they're totally obsolete, then we're playing with 10 men half the game. That's my argument.
But I mean, with all due respect, that you could use the same argument. That you use the reverse argument. Oh well, you can't take the likes of Harry Kane off because in the last, he hasn't done anything, but for 1 minute in a game he could score. Like that logic just doesn't
you're
work.
A brilliant man with your tactics. However, what I would say is that the players that you haven't named are also quite consequential. You haven't named Diaby from Aston Villa. You haven't named.
All right. Well, what about? Hang on. I was getting there. I was actually getting there. What about Bernardo? What about Bernardo Silva? 6 goals, 5 assists, less output. What about Doku? 3 goals, 7 assists, less output. What about Diaby? 6 goals, 7 assists. He's got 1 more goal. I don't see it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but they're clearly better players than Brennan Johnson.
No,
Hang on, he's 22 years old. He arrived with an injury.
Wait, hold on, Drew. Just to clarify this, what is the overall output of Brennan Johnson this year? How many games?
Brennan
how many
Johnson,
goals?
31 goals, 31 games, 5 goals, 7 assists.
So 12 GA.
Yeah.
And how many
For a
other
22-year-old.
how many other wingers have outperformed Brennan Johnson that you're looking at?
I mean, I'm looking at all those people that I've named are
They've all underperformed.
not outperforming him. There's one guy that's got one more goal. I mean, obviously the likes of Saka is head and shoulders above. I mean, Diaz in Liverpool. Diaz at Liverpool has the same output. Salah has got a lot more. No, he's got the same output.
That's really brilliant. The way that you structured that point was absolutely
phenomenal. Was it?
Well,
it was a good argument.
We also have to consider as well, folks. We need to consider as well that the Tottenham midfield, as we pointed out, is absolutely dog crap. And so the fact that we're not getting the ball to these lads in the appropriate positions, the way they want it, good passes of the ball, these things are not happening. And Johnson is still able to come up with stuff like that, basically on his own. Let's be honest. Every time that has happened, he's just tore up the wing by himself and crossed the ball in. Do you know what I mean? He's not getting a hand.
Yeah, it's true.
Equivalent wingers then that play the same type of system? None. That's the problem. We can go through all the stats on teams that are playing different types of games and blah, blah, blah. But until you do a comparison with somebody that plays the same type of system.
That's also true.
It's a very, we could say, well, look at the goalkeepers then. So is Vicario crap because he's conceding so many goals? No, because of the way we play. This is the argument has got to be, if you're going to quote players, at least quote players that are playing the same system. I agree with what you've said, and I understand what you're saying. But
I think you made a valid point, right? He's using the stats.
Yeah, I think. But the argument is, you say it's like horses for courses. We can say, well, our striker isn't scoring as many goals as what Kane did last season, but we maybe haven't created as many chances, or we haven't created as many easy chat. I mean, there's
you're not expecting Drew to go into the minutiae in live.
No, and that's what I said. I like what he did, but until you actually go against, players that are playing exactly the same type of system, you could say how many goals have we conceded off the side that he's playing?
That was the whole reason I chose those players, because I feel like a lot of those players do play like we're trying to play. Like Anthony's pushed out on his wing. Garnacho's pushed out on his wing. They're told to go forward. Neto, when his hamstring isn't messed up.
When we're talking about faults, I agree, Drew. I agree.
Never tell the full story. Hang on one second, Adrian. Stats never tell the full story, but the way that you have to applaud Drew a little bit for the way that he kind of sold the story there. He sold the story.
Thank you to everyone in the chat as well. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Let's throw this name out. Well, how about this stat? Underperform. If you fancy someone a little bit better, do you? £100 million player? Well, let's go down.
There's a couple of people in the chat that said that they're losing brain cells listening to it. And before you do, would you smash a like?
Smash a like. I just want to bring in quickly the two new guys on the channel, Justin and Sanel. I think it's Sanel. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Let's start with Justin. So what is it, mate?
Oh, it's Sanili.
Sanili. Okay. I hope I'm not Sanili. I hope that's good enough for you.
Yes.
Let me start with Justin. Welcome to the show, Justin. Debut on the channel. Good looking man with your glasses. Yeah, it's nice.
I appreciate it.
Oh, someone's just dropped off. I don't know who just left, but Justin, tell me what you want to come on and say, my man.
I'm going to fully disagree with Drew. Brennan Johnson is a horrible, horrible footballer and a really bad winger, to be honest. The amount of positions he gets in, one-on-one, top of the box, he offers no goal threat. He can't beat a man unless he's running straight down the line and has space.
We just saw the stats on him being a goal threat. He's definitely a goal threat.
I mean, he's not a goal threat. If you look at any winger in the Premier League, realistically, that gets in the same positions he gets in, they would dwarf his numbers. Let's just be completely honest about it.
But they haven't. Drew's just
they haven't. They
haven't.
But they don't play in the same system, do they?
No, that's not the point. Your argument was they're better than him, but they haven't.
But they are better.
He's
If
got
you
5
just look
goals and
at,
7
if you
assists.
just
For a kid who's 22, not bad. I didn't want him at the club. Don't get me wrong. I didn't want him when he first come. I thought, But the one thing he's got over someone like, say, Werner, for example, right?
Well, I
is
wouldn't
the fact
advocate for
that
Werner
he's
either.
22 and got potential and got a possible high ceiling, whereas Werner, he's at his ceiling. He's crap. He couldn't hit a barn door couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo, right? And like that's different. So I'm willing to give the kid time personally. I'm not throwing him
I
out.
didn't say he was the best. I just
rejecting
said he was better than a lot of people.
Under 24 years of age. To be honest with you, you know, it's
If
just
you
little
look across
side
the
up
Premier
on the
League,
side.
if you look across the Premier League, what 50 million can buy you in a winger? That's Michael Olise. That's Cole Palmer. These are players that would absolutely outperform anything Brennan Johnson's done this year.
Disagree. I don't disagree.
Cucurella had the easiest night defending him midweek, and he was up against Trent Alexander-Arnold, who had no problem with him while he was on the left. The only time he got in was when he had space down the right, ran straight down the line, and puts a low ball in. I mean, any decent winger in the Premier League, you can pretty much get to play that ball. It's not a special ball. It's not. He doesn't beat anybody one-on-one. He doesn't have any gravity to pull players towards him. When you look at how Man City's wingers play, they get one-on-one and two players have to come.
I think your critique's a bit harsh. I didn't want the player when he first come, right? I thought, why are we going for him when we're spending that sort? If the reported fee is true, if it's a total of 47 with add-ons, I don't know what the add-ons are and all that. Like, I think I'd want another Reading player for that money, right? But I think it's a bit harsh on someone who's 22. But then again, that's down to Ange because he'll put that youngster in the team. Mind you, he's played Udogie who's 20 and Sarr who's like 20 as well. So
yeah, it might. I mean, I'm harsh because I don't see it. Right?
Are you Levy out, Justin?
Look, I respect your opinion.
No, I'm not. I'm not Levy out. The only thing I'm going to hold against Ange really this year is advocating for Brennan Johnson. I don't know if that is was Brennan Johnson the only winger on the list, and if it was like, if you don't get him, you get nobody, then I don't know.
The word from the training
for Brennan
ground
Johnson,
right? The word from the training ground with Brennan Johnson, I know this, right, for a fact, right, is that Johnson is not showing everything he is on match day games, but he is on the training ground. He is technically so good, and Ange loves what he shows. We've seen a few when he's tried to slip players, not run past them, all that, like when he doubles and does a twist and turn like Bissouma does when he's on his game and slips a ball through and all that. He shows a lot of that in training, where players probably don't want to go in a hard tackles. I don't know if they go full blast or not. And Ange apparently really loves him. So
it's probably because they play up against.
We don't see as fans what goes on at a training ground, do we?
Let me bring in
the training.
Let me bring in. We got two new guests. First of all, Alan, how you doing, mate? Good to see you, buddy. Before I bring you in, great to see you, buddy. Thank you again for the super chat with the membership generosity, mate. Really appreciate it. Before I come to you though, gotta come to new guy on the show. Sanelli. Was it Sanelli?
Sanelli.
Sanelli. Okay. Where are you from, Sanelli?
I'm from South Africa.
Oh, nice, man. Nice. Welcome. My sister-in-law is from Durban. So.
I'm from Durban as well.
Oh, perfect, buddy. Well, listen, welcome to the channel.
You might know.
Yeah, you are. Maybe. I hope not.
No.
Yeah?
I'm living
in. My brother, maybe there's a problem going to happen. But listen, thank you for coming on. Welcome to the channel. What's your take? What are we talking about Ange? Are we talking about Daniel Levy? Are we talking about the players? Why did you come on? What did you want to say, my man?
Okay, I'd like to talk about the players. For me, I'm tired of feeling the same way when we go to big matches and lose. But today's match, I want to put the blame on Ange per se, because he played 3 defensive players with no attacking player, which meant we were supposed to be good defending. He said at the start of the season that he won't change how he plays. But today, for me, it feels like he changed how he played because he started playing with defensive players, not attacking players. As soon as Lo Celso and Madison came in on the pitch, they were making forward runs. They tried to stay forward, not coming to Bissouma most of the time. Even though Bissouma for me in the first half wasn't that good, but in the second half, because there were players in front of him, not besides him, when they got the ball, they want to push the ball forward. That's why I most of the time wanted Lo Celso to always start matches, because he's the one who wants to pass players, and he's the perfect person for me to pass our wings, like today, Son. For me, when Werner is on the same position as Son, when people are doing underlapping or overlapping runs, he passes the ball sooner. But Son wants to take on a player, which gives the other team more chances to get more players behind the ball. And then people, like, I think there was a time where Emerson made a run and then Son didn't pass. When you're right back or left back in that position, you run the whole pitch to the other end of the pitch and you have to go back up the pitch. As a defender, you wouldn't want that because you didn't get the ball. So Son has to go back for him to go mark Salah, but Son won't do that because he's an attacker. So for me, I'd like for Ange in the next coming games to play, I'm not sure with the defensive midfielder, but attacking can be Medicine and Lo Celso. And then in the end of the season, I'd like Ange to keep Lo Celso. Sell Bissouma, sell Bentancur, sell Son, sell Emerson, sell Davies, sell Kulusevski. I like Kulusevski, but we need, when we go forward, we need people to score.
We'll have no players left, mate. We'll have no players left.
Yes, yes, it's fine. It's fine, because for me, what I don't like, Kulusevski is good with the ball. He protects the ball. He takes us up the pitch. But initially, what you want from your attackers is to help you score goals. If you look at Kulusevski today, he was not dangerous for me. According to me, he was not dangerous. At least Brennan Johnson had that assist. He was a bit, he gave us a bit of energy, even though he ran out of legs towards the end of the match. But for me, Son, when it's time to take on players 1v1, like Trent, we all know that Trent is slow, but Son doesn't want to take him on. He's taking too many touches, and Elliott is going to come back and double up on Son. That means now he has a 2v1. And when he has a 2v1, he can't really attack that much. So for me, if we just get better at attacking players, sell Richalison as well. If we get better at attacking players and people who are a goal threat, we're going to be better going forward and we'll win most of the matches. I don't think personally the system is the problem. I think the players, if they don't change, because I think in the second half when Medicine stepped on the pitch, Medicine Street pressed, I think it was Quansha or something like that from Liverpool, the right centre back. That way it allowed all the players to press high. And when we're pressing high, we play better, because now the other team, Liverpool, is going to start hooving the ball forward. And when they hoof the ball forward, we can win it. We can win those balls with headers and things like that. The only thing that we have to do, win the second ball and then start all over, pass, go forward and score those goals. So for me, I think
it's more the
we
players
played well when the attacking players were there.
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree with you.
That's your excellent take. The one thing in the second half that was noticeable, and why are we doing this earlier? When Richie came on, who did well when he came on, we started it in long forward balls. Why are we not doing this in the first half? Why are we not doing this in the first half? Because Richie caused them problems when he came on. He did. I mean, we know he's not everyone's favourite player. He's not mine, to be honest. But I mean, like, we then, is it because we're 4-0 down that we're gambling and we're hitting long forward balls to him?
No, I think.
Well, let me ask.
Actually, changed.
Hang on, one second, Tonelli. 1 second. Let me bring in Alan here, Rakdos. I mean, listen, Tonelli's saying it's not the system, it's the players. He thinks that certain players need to, that are struggling. He mentioned a lot of players that he wants to go. I'm kind of on board with a lot of it. Alan, you've got a wonderful background, buddy. That's looks like
thank you.
Beautiful place wherever you are in the world. But what's
San
your
Diego.
take, mate? Where are you? Where are you in the world?
There you go.
San Diego.
You're in San Diego. Yeah, of course, mate. My favorite place. I grew up spending a lot of time over there. I was in Pacific Beach. And,
beautiful.
Beautiful place. But yeah, listen, congratulations on your life choices. But let me ask you about your Tottenham choices. Would your Tottenham choices equate to your life choices? Do you want to see Sonny? Would you see Sonny go like Sinelli would? Like I would? Would you cash in on him? What about Bissouma and everybody else we've spoken about today?
Absolutely. I think Sinelli made some great points. I think Son is maybe a little long in the tooth. Today we saw he got bullied for the most part. He tried to dribble through 3-4 players, which so did Brennan Johnson. I don't know why we do that. I don't know why we're trying to do like some classic Messi kind of moves when we clearly don't have them. I think Bissouma just never fit the system. He got a raw deal under Conte, but maybe Conte saw something lacking in Bissouma, and that's why he didn't play him. And now we're kind of seeing the player that Bissouma is, and he just doesn't fit our system. I would do a big clear out. I mean, I like Richie, but I think while Richie's doing well, I'd rather sell on the high than wait till he tanks and then try and move him on like so many of our other players. So I'd sell Richie, sell Son. I'd even look to sell Kulu, even though I don't know that we're going to sell Kulu. I would look to sell Bissouma. Skip looked okay. Someone said he looks like the oldest young person on the field. He kind of, but he looked okay. I'd sell Lo Celso. I would sell. I mean, it would be easier to say who I'd keep than who I'd sell. Probably keep the majority of the back line except for Emerson. I'd sell Emerson. And we definitely need a left back, maybe even 2 left backs. There's someone that can kind of play multiple positions. I'd wish we had like an Alphonso Davies kind of player, to be honest. Someone that's got the speed that we need, like a Van De Ven kind of speed. Can play left, in the left back, but also can play up front, kind of like Porro. But yeah, I would probably sell the majority of the players. They just don't fit the Ange system at all. I don't know how you guys feel, but I don't think that our players, except for maybe Romero, Van De Ven, I guess Vicario, but I don't know that there are many players that fit Ange's system that we have currently.
And
So
that's
it's going to look like
a massive concern, mate. It's essentially you're betting the house on a manager who has his team is regressing. I'm on board it. I think everybody in here is on board it, and I haven't heard Snell. I think Snelly's saying he's on board it. Justin, I think you're saying you're on board it as well. I think we're all saying give the guy what he wants because the alternative is also pretty bleak, right? You once again change. You once again have to rip up the kind of the book, and then whatever that guy wants is going to also require years. So you might as well give this guy the time. But if
you're going to end up replacing a ton of players anyway, Sean, do you know what I mean? Like if we get rid of the manager and a new manager comes in, he's going to want to build a whole new team anyway. It makes no difference, and it's the Ange system that as I was saying, is what's showing the players up for who they are anyway. It's showing their lack of quality because they're not able to even.
How many of these players are used to playing a system that's so gung ho?
Yeah.
So what my point is, if you're gonna back a manager, like the final manager that you don't want to have to change and pivot from, the question mark is whether this guy, if you give him the tools, you're betting the house on. I'm not sure if it's a 50-50 bet. I think it's like a 60-40 against, but you just hope it works out. I don't know. Like I understand why everybody is like who people who are Ange out, people that want to that don't trust it. I get it, but I think we're all in agreement that we want to see this pan out, but it's a lot of risk, Justin.
It'll also depend on the kind of players that come in now in the summer, because if we start seeing players come in that we're not particularly impressed with, and then Ange is, if Ange ends up failing to the degree where these new players that have been brought in are with the players that the new manager is stuck with, we know that if we buy in quality and Ange's system doesn't work the way he thinks it will in the Premier League, a new manager can come in with high quality players and do some bits. But if the players that we bring in are like more Brennan Johnson level, young and have a lot of potential, but we have no idea where they're going, then that's going to be a huge. Like I've been thinking recently that I was on board with this philosophy that Ange has. Is like you don't have, if you have 100 million, don't buy £100 million player, buy two £50 million players. But the more I'm thinking about it, that's fine if you have 200 million and you want to do that with one of the 100 millions. But I mean, I'm starting to feel like a huge thing that we're missing is someone in the team that gives you an incredible amount of confidence because of, you know, that no matter what, they can drag you through games because they are just sensational. Sonny is not that player. I always hoped that he would be, but he's showing more and more shades of decline lately, to the degree where, like I've been saying for a very long time, Sonny's my favorite player ever, but it was sort of recency bias. I'm kind of going back to like Gareth Bale is like my favorite ever player, because that dude just didn't dwindle in quality to the day he left and to the day he retired. So in his last season with us, he was scoring goals for fun in first gear, right? And this is when he was what, 33 at that stage. And we just don't have. We need at least one unbelievable player that gives everybody else confidence, that just floats the team. Harry Kane was the last player that we had that did that for players, where you knew that when you were really in a pinch, he could still drag you through some games. He gave the players confidence up to a point.
I don't care about the price of a player, because the price of a player doesn't prove.
But you're not going to get a really. You're not going to get a sensational player without spending the money.
What I hinted on earlier, on that football field, I want at least 7 of my players on that field to be aggressive players, not passive players. You can carry a few passive players if they've got great quality. You can carry a Maddison. He's not an aggressive player, in my opinion.
No.
But but when things go wrong with his Spurs side, and midfield just collapses, it's crap, right? Yeah. It's rubbish. It cannot stand the pressure, right? This is mentality as well, right? Sometimes it'll work.
Look at that, Adrian.
Go on, sorry.
That stat is palpable.
Well, yeah, that's good. That's good. And well,
we shouldn't jack it in, right?
Behind us, didn't you? 7 seasons they finished behind us. Don't know how, but I mean they did.
Well, it's all about an element of perspective, right? Because if you were to flip the season around, irrespective of who you've won or lost against, if you flip the season round now and you started off with this run of bad results, as we all expected to happen, and we ended with, 8 wins and 2 draws, we'd all be singing a whole different hymn. And I understand this, the regression thing, but you got to understand, like, I'll go back to the thing earlier about the lack of playing time between this first 11, plus the fact that you think, the second 11 arguably aren't good enough. Somebody mentioned in the chat, was it Ren? Big up Ren. Rome wasn't built in a day. I think, it's absolutely right. We've got to, if we keep chopping and changing, we're never going to get anywhere. And the whole Brennan Johnson thing, I think, is a microcosm of unrealistic expectations for Spurs fans. Big up Justin, fantastic guy. But like, there are 3 or 4 players that have got better output than Brennan Johnson, and they are elite players. We're talking Saka, we're talking Foden, we're talking Salah, and that is about it. Mr. Elise has only been available for 16 games this season, so until he starts working for 30 to 35, I'm not having it. We need to.
When he has one season,
he's had 3 seasons, but the 2 seasons before that, his output wasn't like what Brennan's is now. So I don't.
When Drew is talking like this, he's speaking from his heart. When Drew is talking like this and looking to his left, he's speaking from stats. He's got websites up. He's looking at numbers and he's making points. And
sure, mate. And yet, we're having these debates. We're having a meltdown in the last 4 games because we lost them. Yet we're 5th in the league. And how many Spurs fans, after we sold Kane, would have expected us to be 5th in the league? Everybody's saying mid-table. A few of the real doomsayers were saying like relegation fodder, right?
Somebody said, relegation.
The counter to that, and Justin, I'll bring you back in as I want to get. So I've got around on 12 minutes.
Big up.
So we're not going to go. I'm going to bring Justin back in, and then we're going to go through the one to the left and to the right, and come downstairs as well. Justin, there's a counter to Drew's point, and a counter to Adrian's point. Everyone would have taken 5th at the start of the season, right, Justin? But the start of the season got us to where we can fail as bad as we've been in the last sort of 10 games, not just the last 4, but we've struggled, in the last 10. So it was the start of the season when nobody knew what they were working with. And it was that head start that allowed us to finish where we are, or give or take where we are. And if it carries on like this, then we could finish ourselves in 8th position. Man United, Chelsea, and Newcastle can still overtake us. If we end up finishing in 8th position or 7th position outside of Europe or in the Conference League, has this season turned from a success to a failure, Justin?
Well, first, I don't think that's going to happen. That's the first point. If it does happen, it will depend on what the stat brings in the summer, because Ange in his press conferences has been very vocal about how poor some of these players have been, not buying in. If he goes in the summer and gets out 10 to 12 players, like people have said, reported, or even more, I think it will be a positive net. It will be a sour end to this season that started so brightly, but I think if we're showing what kind of team we truly are right now through this really poor period and showing where we really need to improve going into next season, I think it will be positive, because there's a lot of change that needs to happen in this team. Ange seems to know it. It just depends if he's going to get the right players, if he's going to decide between 2 or 3 players, if he picks the right one, that could be, job defining, that could be season defining. And if Levy gives him the opportunity to make those changes. So if it leads to change in the summer, which I think we desperately need, I think we're really poor up front, really poor. And if it leads to a new front line, then I would take us losing every single game for the rest of the year if it brings that change. Wow.
Including Sonny, yeah?
Yeah. I don't think I would keep one attacker, honestly.
I don't disagree with you. I'm okay with all of them. I don't think obviously they won't all go, but I'm okay with it. And I'll come to you.
Don't get the Richalison hate.
Well, listen, I think Richalison can go as well, to be honest. As much as I think he's played well today, I think he can go as well. Ian JD with the super chat. Thank you very much, Ian. Sack Ange or keep him. It will make no difference when you have a chairman who values hotels over trophies. I feel we should back Ange. He's part of the Levy out movement. Alan, let me come to you. I mean, look, I think everybody that's on here today, I think Adrian is on board with the new owner. He's not Levy out in terms of the kind of hatred side of it, but he's certainly on board with the new owner if it was to come along.
Yeah, I don't agree, Sean. What I don't agree with is conflating everything people can come up with being Daniel Levy's fault.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's where 100%. I am on that. I mean, if you've got to criticise of the chairman, do it on facts. I like to try and be as objective as possible as I can, but when I argue a point, I try to do it on facts and try to be as impartial as I can. That's why people say to me, "Are you Levy out or Levy in?" and all that. I go, look, I want what's best for the club.
I know.
There's much investment as we could invest in the club that's financially possible under the rules.
And we're not too far away from that, mate. We're not too far away from that. And listen, I know where you're coming from, but I think most of the other people on the channel tonight, at least, have been Levy in. That wasn't by design. That was just the way it came across. If, like I've always said, anyone who's Levy out wants to come on. Alan, I'll give you penultimate last word. I'll give Sinele the last word. In terms of what we need going forward, is it down to Daniel Levy? Is he the ultimate buck? Does the buck stop with him? Is he the ultimate kind of like, if he doesn't go, then nothing will ever change? Is it really that simple for Tottenham fans?
No, I don't think so. I think it shouldn't be. I personally, I'm not a Levy out person. I think what he has done, at least recently, in the time that I've been watching Spurs, he has created an infrastructure that few other teams have, and it's they would envy. You got Man City with all kinds of problems, Newcastle with issues. Everton had their issues. I think what Levy has created is something sustainable. Yes, I think if we look at the financials, his focus right now may not really be on the first team. And he's kind of doing other things, but he's put people in place to focus on the first team. He's got Scott Munn, Johan Lang, and Paratici. He's got people in place to do what he was doing before, if I could say it a little inadequately, because he's not really that guy. He's a numbers guy. And I think he's set up the structure so that he can be the numbers guy and maintain this kind of sustainable model that he's created, that I think we are going to see a lot more people, owners, going towards the sustainable model, because they're going to have to. They just have to. They can't keep just spending huge money. Sean, you've done, I've watched your videos on that, talking about 90% this season, 85% the next season, and kind of as far as what they're able to spend. But I'm not a Levy outer. I think that takes away from the rest of it. It's kind of like noise that distracts from what really needs to be talked about, which is, what is Ange going to do in the summer? He has a glut of loanees coming back. What are we going to do with Rechalison? Are we going to sell him to Brentford? Do they even want him? What are we doing with Tanganga? What are we doing with Hill? What are we doing with Lo Celso? What are we doing with Joe Rodon? What are we doing? It feels like we have an insurmountable number of people to get rid of, and that number just keeps growing. So, but I don't think it comes down to Ange, to Levy. I think it comes down to Scott Munn and Paratici and Johan Lang.
Yeah.
I agree. Look, I think there's a few different areas you can take it. Listen, anyone who is Levy out, by the way, I don't care. I'm never going to change your mind. But for me, like I said throughout the show today, I said it throughout the watch along. I challenge any Levy out person who wants to come on, with the exception of a couple of people who I don't avoid because I'm worried about a debate, because I just don't like them as people, or I don't not on board with them as people, etc. But the vast majority of you, you're more than welcome on my channel. Tell me what it is that you want. Tell me what it is that you think Levy can't provide. Tell me what it is that you think will happen when a new owner comes in, and let's debate it, because I guarantee you the answers you're going to give me, because I've asked this question 1,000 times over and I've heard 1,000 answers. The answers are blasé. They are vague. They are based around ambition, which is a nonsense narrative that doesn't have any kind of measurable tactile element to it. Come on and tell me what it is that you think. I've had Brian Isaacs on the channel, Brian Daigle, I've had Danny Kiriakou, I'm going to have Billy Kearns on. Anyone that wants to come on, reach out to me. You can come on the channel and we'll have the debate, because I think that most of you are pushing a narrative that's easy to sell to people that don't understand. Easy to sell. You're a voice of opinion. You're a voice. You've got a platform. You're pushing a narrative that is super easy to sell because things are not very good at Tottenham. And you think that the ultimate underlying common denominator is Daniel Levy. I will counter that and say the ultimate common denominator is money and finance in football. And it doesn't matter who you have. When you're trying to close the door after the horse has bolted, it doesn't matter who the next guy is coming in, unless it's a sugar daddy. But even then, sugar daddies come into Newcastle and they have to sell this summer. They couldn't buy last year. They have to sell this year. So whatever you think that Daniel Levy is guilty of, the next guy coming in is going to be guilty of the same thing. But you're pushing the narrative because you're trying to. It's a grift. You are grifting to people that don't know any better, and you've got a responsibility as a platform to tell the truth. I don't think you do. And I'll also come on and challenge me. Come on and debate it with me, because I don't care about Daniel Levy. I'm happy for Daniel Levy to go. I don't give a shit about Daniel Levy. But this narrative that he is the poison, that is responsible for all of Tottenham's woes is bollocks, is bullshit. And none of you have ever given me a reason why, other than one trophy in 23 years. It's bullshit, and you're not doing a good enough job apart from selling poison. You're selling a poison chalice of bollocks. And I will come onto the channel.
Like with Ange, I agree. And patience is the watchword. And we have to be patient as a fan base. And I know we've all said, oh, not another project, this, that, and the other, and all that. But when you just look at the work that has to be done besides bringing players in, I can name 15 players now, right? Skip, Lo Celso, Rodon, Rechalison, Gill, Ndombele, Spence, Emerson, Parrott, Hojbjerg, Tanganga, Richalison, Werner,
DM me, Ian. You can come on.
That's 15 players, right? But are we going to get rid of 15 players in the summer? It's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen. But like that's just part of the process. Now, we will get money in for some of them. So if you said 10 mil a player, we might get in 75 mil, right? Depending on which players on that list, right? That you think have a value, right? But like, so that can be added to the transfer fund, kitty, whatever we've got, which will probably be 100 mil, right? Because it usually works out around about that anyway, right? So we could have 175 mil to spend. Now, I don't give a crap about the price of what a player's worth. When people say, "Oh, pay the extra 5 million, this, that, and the other," I just want the player to be a quality player that we bring in, you know. And if it means we get a gem that's cheap, and before we even start, then the fan base went, "Oh, he must be crap because he only cost 15 mil." Well, like a Udogie, you know, or someone like that, then that's rubbish, right? And please, Spurs fans out there, I post all the videos in my group when we're interested in traction. You know, we get gravitas towards a player, and I look at it, I think, right, I'll post the video. Don't listen to me. Watch the video. Make your own opinion. Don't say a player's crap before you even watched it, you know, which you get a lot of in a lot of podcasts. Because I know they don't watch these players. And I watch the academy players play on Spurs Play. You know, I make a point of going out when we're linked with a player, even if it's a very tenuous link, I will go and watch that player just for future reference. Because I don't think there's anything in this. You do as well, Sean. I know, because you do it in your walks and all that with Bugsy and that.
100%, yeah. You got to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, listen, Adrian, mate, I appreciate you. Listen, I want to give the last word. I said, Sinelli, you're going to get the last word, mate. I don't know you very well at all. I've known you for just the last half an hour. Are you Levy in? Are you Levy out? Are you Ange in? Are you Ange out? Keep it very brief if you can, buddy. What do you want to see happen between now and next summer? Or now and next season?
Cleveland, turn this around.
I'm Levy in and I'm Ange in. And
on the podcast.
I just want Tottenham. I just want them to just give Ange the backing and get better players in mostly the crucial positions like the forward line. And can I answer the question about finishing 8th?
Yeah,
I feel like if we finish 8th, I'll feel like Tottenham is a better Burnley with just more better players. So I don't want to finish 8th. I prefer us finishing 5th than any other position, or 5th or higher. So yeah, that's me.
6th
Okay, mate.
would normally get Europa League. Just so you know, guys, just one little point I want to put in. But I think there is an issue with like whoever wins the cup final with Man City and Man United.
Yeah, United.
The 6th might not be a given for Europa League. I'm not sure.
It's not. If Man United win the FA Cup, they get Europa League, and then 6th place goes to Conference League. So we got problems on our horizon for sure. Guys, listen, we're gonna round it off there, and I want to say massive thank you to everyone that's been on.
Great show, guys. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, really. Everyone's been awesome. You're all welcome back anytime. Anybody that is ENIC out that thinks that they want to debate me on a real level playing field, you're more than welcome. Just DM me. You can come on. You can always come on. But I do believe that the ENIC out movement, the people that are vocal in that environment, are 100% grifting you into this idea that someone different than Daniel Levy can do things that Daniel Levy isn't. And I'd love to hear people tell me why I'm wrong about that. But listen, I love you all. I love you guys on the panel. You've all been spectacular. Adam, love you.
Thanks for the invite.
Adrian, Justin, come back again. Sinelli, come back again. Alan, absolute legends. People that were on before. Love you all. Love everyone in the comments. We're going to leave it there. DM me if you are Levy out and you want to come on. I'm happy to have it because I don't give a shit about Daniel Levy, but you're pushing a bullshit narrative. You are pushing a narrative and you're convincing fans that that Daniel Levy goes and suddenly Tottenham can win everything by spending $1 billion. Doesn't work that way. Come and debate me. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
smash the like.
Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you, Sean.
Come on, you Spurs.